Take the study and make it your bedroom, or find somewhere else to live, my husband Marcus told me when his pregnant sister-in-law moved into my penthouse. Natasha smiled sweetly and added, "We need you out by Friday for the nursery setup." So I left. But the following Saturday morning, when 3 moving trucks pulled up at 8 a.m., that sweet smile turned to horror. "Marcus, she's taking everything. Tell me she can't do this. Please, tell me this isn't legal." The words came at me across the breakfast table like bullets I never saw coming. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're a subscriber, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Victoria, be reasonable. Take the study and convert it into your bedroom, or find somewhere else to stay. Your choice. My husband Marcus delivered this ultimatum while carefully sectioning his grapefruit, as if he were discussing weekend plans rather than dismantling our 12-year marriage. Behind him, framed perfectly in the doorway of our penthouse kitchen, stood his brother Derek and Derek's wife Natasha, her hand resting protectively on her protruding belly. "Actually," Natasha added, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "it would be ideal if you could be out by next Friday. We need time to prepare the nursery, and your master bedroom has the perfect eastern light for the baby." My master bedroom. The one I'd paid for. In the penthouse I owned. The investment portfolio I'd been reviewing slipped from my fingers, $47 million in carefully structured assets scattering across the floor. I'd been preparing for the Crawford presentation, my biggest client meeting this quarter, and now I was being evicted from my own home. "Marcus." My voice came out steadier than I felt. Inside, my chest had gone hollow. "This is my home. I purchased this penthouse in 2019. My name is on the deed." He finally looked up from his grapefruit, his expression carrying the patience of someone explaining basic concepts to a slow child. "We're married, Victoria. What's yours is ours. And family comes first. Derek and Natasha need stability during this crucial time. You're at the office until 9 or 10 every night anyway. You barely use the master suite." Derek was already measuring spaces with his phone, probably calculating where their furniture would fit. Natasha ran her fingers along my Calacatta marble countertops like she was taking inventory. "I told you everything would work out," she said to Derek. "The universe provides. The universe provides." As if divine intervention, rather than my $70,000 down payment and 5 years of mortgage payments, had manifested this 3,000 square foot space with water views. "I have the Crawford presentation at 2, I said, though I wasn't sure why I was explaining myself. "They're restructuring their entire estate plan. $42 million in assets." "Then you should probably start packing efficiently," Natasha suggested, already opening my cabinets. "We have the furniture delivery scheduled for Saturday morning." The absurdity crashed over me. This morning I'd woken as Victoria Morrison, owner of a penthouse in Seattle's most prestigious building, a financial advisor who'd built her firm from nothing into something Bloomberg had written about. I'd declined a job offer in London just 6 weeks ago because Marcus begged me to stay, promised we were building something meaningful together. Now I stood in my own kitchen, being instructed to pack my belongings by a woman who'd married into this family 8 months ago. "Preston Financial passed you over for that partnership again, didn't they?" The words escaped before I could stop them. Marcus's jaw tightened. His fingers clenched around his grapefruit spoon. "That has nothing to do with this situation." But it had everything to do with it. For 5 years, Marcus had watched younger financial advisors get promoted past him. Had smiled through dinner parties where people congratulated me on magazine features while he nursed his scotch in the corner. "Mrs. Morrison," Natasha said, using my formal title despite being family. "The movers will need access to the master closet by Saturday morning. Could you leave your keys on the counter when you go to work?" Movers. They'd already arranged movers. Before telling me. Before discussing anything. I looked at the portfolio pages scattered across the floor. Each one represented security for my clients, trust I'd spent years building. My phone buzzed. My assistant Jennifer, Crawford family confirmed for 2 p.m. "They're bringing their attorney. Ready to sign." I need to make some calls, I heard myself say. Of course, Natasha chirped. Take all the time you need. Within reason, of course. Marcus had returned to his breakfast, the matter apparently settled. Derek was taking photos of the living room, probably for Natasha's Instagram. I gathered my scattered papers and walked to my home office. The space I'd designed with custom built-in shelving, with the Herman Miller desk where I'd structured deals that changed my clients' lives, with the view of Elliott Bay that had cost me years of sacrifice to earn. Behind me, I could hear Natasha on the phone. Mom, you won't believe how perfect it is. The master bedroom is massive. Yes, everything's working out exactly like we planned. Exactly like we planned. The words hung in the air like smoke, toxic and revealing. I closed my office door and stared at the contact I'd been avoiding for 6 weeks, Catherine Ashford, senior partner at Davies and Porter London. The offer she'd made, chief investment officer for their European wealth management division, with a compensation package that included a Mayfair apartment and a £300,000 signing bonus. I'd turned it down. For Marcus. For this marriage. For a life in Seattle that I'd believed we were building together. My finger hovered over Catherine's number, but I set the phone down. If they wanted to play games with my home, I needed to understand exactly what game they'd been playing, and for how long. Something in my chest shifted, not breaking, but cutting free. The part of me that accommodated, that compromised, that made excuses simply ceased to exist. I need to make some calls, I heard myself say. Of course, Natasha chirped, already rearranging my spice collection to make room for her organic pregnancy supplements. Take all the time you need. Within reason, of course. The movers will need to start by 8 a.m. Saturday. Marcus had returned to his breakfast, the matter apparently settled in his mind. Derek was taking photos of the living room, probably for Natasha's Instagram, where she documented her pregnancy journey for her 73,000 followers. I gathered my scattered portfolio pages and walked toward my home office. As I passed through the hallway, I caught Derek in the second bedroom, my meditation space, already on his phone. Yeah, Mom, it's perfect. 3,000 square feet, water views, the whole package. Natasha was right, Victoria barely uses this place anyway. He laughed. No, she didn't put up much of a fight. You know how she is. We'll be completely moved in by next weekend. His mother knew. Eleanor had been part of this conversation, this plan. The same woman who'd spent 12 years suggesting Marcus deserved someone more family-oriented. I slipped into my office and closed the door. Through the thin walls, Natasha was video calling someone. No, seriously, Jen, it's like a dream come true. The master closet alone is bigger than our old bedroom. My phone buzzed. Patricia's name appeared. Lunch next week? Need your advice on a commercial property investment. Patricia, sharp, successful, allergic to bullshit. We'd met at Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management and stayed close through 2 decades of building our empires. She'd asked if I was sure about Marcus the night before our wedding. Comfort can turn to resentment faster than you think, she'd warned. I'd dismissed her concerns then. Now I opened my computer and navigated to our shared cloud storage, the one Marcus insisted we set up for transparency. His folder structure was embarrassingly simple: work files, personal, family. Inside family was a subfolder labeled Living Arrangements, 2024. My stomach dropped. The first document, dated January 15th, 4 months ago, was titled Penthouse Transition Plan. Doc. The text was methodical and damning. Present as temporary arrangement initially. Emphasize Victoria's work schedule, rarely home anyway. Timing, wait until after Q1 bonus clears, approximate $340,000. Natasha's due date, June 18th, provides emotional leverage. Victoria avoids scenes, will likely accept rather than cause family drama. A secondary document titled Financial Projections showed calculations about the penthouse's value, my income, what they called available assets for family support. They'd estimated my net worth, listed my client roster, even my retirement funds. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. They'd been planning to strip mine my life. Another document, contingency planning. If Victoria resists. Eleanor emphasizes family obligations. Derek mentions job loss, temporary, but effective for sympathy. Natasha's pregnancy complications can be exaggerated if necessary. Final option, Marcus threatens separation. Job loss. Derek had lost his job. That's why they needed my penthouse, they had nowhere else to go. And they'd calculated exactly how to manipulate me into surrendering everything. I forwarded every document to my personal email, then cleared the browser history. In my desk drawer was the penthouse deed. My name. Only my name. Marcus had insisted on that when I purchased the property, protecting his assets from potential business liability. That decision was about to become his greatest mistake. I pulled out my phone and stared at Catherine Ashford's contact, the London opportunity I'd turned down 6 weeks ago. Chief Investment Officer, Davies and Porter, compensation package that included a Mayfair apartment and £300,000 signing bonus. I'd declined for Marcus. For this marriage. For a life I'd believed we were building together. My finger hovered over her number, but I set the phone down. First, I needed to understand the full scope of this betrayal. At 2 a.m., my phone rang. My mother's picture appeared, her wearing the cashmere sweater I'd sent, smiling beside her Christmas tree in Phoenix. "Morning, Mom," I answered. "Rosalie, honey, something strange happened. Julian called asking about your father's insurance policy, wanting to know if there were investments we hadn't told him about." The room tilted slightly. "What did you tell him?" "The truth. Your father's insurance barely covered his final medical bills. You know, we used every penny for his cancer treatment." She paused. Why would Marcus ask about that after 12 years? I couldn't tell her that her son-in-law was excavating our family tragedy for non-existent gold. "Everything's fine, Mom. Early meeting, I need to go." After hanging up, I returned to the emails. A new message appeared in Marcus's inbox as I watched, from Gabriella, "Movers confirmed for noon. Once her stuff is in the guest room, phase 2 begins. Dad's lawyer says if she abandons the marital home, it strengthens Jay's position for asset division." Assets division. They were planning a divorce I hadn't contemplated, positioning me as the one who'd abandoned our marriage by leaving the home they were forcing me out of. I screenshot everything, sending it to my secure account. Then I opened my filing cabinet, finding the folder I'd been avoiding, the Thornfield International offer. Marcus had stood behind me when I declined it, hands on my shoulders. "Our life is here, Rosalie. Our future is here." He'd already been talking to his family about moving them in when he said those words. The doorbell interrupted my thoughts. Sarah stood there in tennis whites and barely contained fury. "We need to talk," she said, pushing past me. She froze seeing Leonardo's meditation mat, Gabriella's books scattered everywhere. "My God, it's true." "What's true?" "I was at the club yesterday. Gabriella was holding court at the juice bar, telling everyone how she'd finally put that career woman in her place." Sarah's hands clenched. "She said you were jealous of her pregnancy and that's why you had to be removed." "Removed? Like a stain." "There's more," Sarah continued. "She's been planning this since she got pregnant, 7 months. She told her book club you'd probably claim mental instability from work stress, so they needed to act fast. They'd pathologized my success, weaponized my work ethic, transformed my achievements into evidence of instability." "What are you going to do?" Sarah asked. I looked at the Thornfield folder, then at my phone where screenshots waited like loaded weapons. "I'm going to give them exactly what they want," I said. "And then I'm going to disappear with everything they never knew they needed." I emerged from my office an hour later to find the penthouse transformed into what could only be described as Natasha's staging ground. She'd rearranged my living room furniture, the mid-century modern pieces I'd collected over years from estate sales and specialty dealers, to create what she was calling better flow for the baby's play area. My Noguchi coffee table, a $17,000 investment piece, now sat pushed against the wall like an afterthought. In its place, Natasha had positioned herself on my sofa, her laptop open, video chatting with what appeared to be an interior designer. "So the master bedroom will be our suite," she was saying, gesturing broadly with her free hand. "And we'll convert the second bedroom into the nursery. I'm thinking soft sage greens, natural wood tones, very Scandinavian minimalist meets Pacific Northwest. The second bedroom. My meditation space, where I'd installed custom blackout shades and a sound system for guided relaxation. The room that had saved my sanity during the 2020 market crash when I'd spent 72 consecutive hours on the phone with panicking clients, talking them back from the edge of making catastrophic financial decisions. "What about the current occupant?" the designer asked, her voice tinny through the laptop speakers. Natasha waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, Victoria's moving into the study. She works constantly anyway, so she'll barely notice. Plus, it's just temporary." Temporary. The lie was already being constructed, the narrative being shaped. I'd heard this word before in business. It was what people said when they planned to make something permanent but needed you to accept it first. "Victoria," Marcus called from the kitchen. "Could you come here for a moment?" I found him standing with Derek, both of them examining a set of architectural drawings spread across my kitchen island, the Caesar stone surface I'd selected after 3 trips to the stone yard, the island I'd had custom built to exact specifications. "We're thinking of some modifications," Marcus said without looking up. "Nothing major. Just opening up this wall between the kitchen and the second bedroom. It would create a more open concept feel and give us better sight lines to the nursery." "You want to demolish a wall in my penthouse?" I kept my voice flat, clinical. "Our penthouse," Marcus corrected, finally meeting my eyes. "And it's not demolition, it's renovation. Derek knows a contractor who can do it for a reasonable price. We'd only be without the wall for a few days during construction." Derek nodded enthusiastically, his man bun bobbing. "My buddy Travis does amazing work. He renovated our last place before we had to leave it. Very reasonable rates, and he works fast." Had to leave it. Interesting phrasing. Not sold or moved from. Had to leave. "The thing is," Marcus continued, his tone taking on that reasonable quality he used when he wanted something, "the study is quite small for a bedroom. We measured this morning while you were on your call. It's only 10 by 12. But if we move your desk into the corner and bring up that Murphy bed from storage, it could work temporarily. 10 by 12. 120 square feet. My office, my sanctuary, my space for managing billions of dollars in assets, reduced to a storage closet with a fold-down bed. Where exactly will I work?" I asked. "Well, you have your office downtown," Natasha interjected from the living room, apparently eavesdropping on our conversation. "And honestly, Victoria, you're there most of the time anyway. This is really just a place for you to sleep between work sessions, right?" She said it so brightly, so cheerfully, as if she were doing me a favor by reducing my home to a crash pad. Behind her, on my wall where a limited edition print by a local artist had hung, a piece I'd commissioned specifically for that space, there was now a blank rectangle. I spotted the print leaning against the hallway wall, already removed to make way for whatever aesthetic Natasha had planned. "I see you've already started redecorating," I said. "Oh, that." Natasha glanced at the removed artwork. "It's beautiful, really, but it doesn't fit the energy we're trying to create. Too abstract. We need something more nurturing for the baby. I was thinking family photos, maybe some nature prints." "You understand." I understood perfectly. I was being erased, methodically and completely, from my own home. "Let me show you the study setup," Marcus said, already walking toward the small room. Derek and Natasha followed like an entourage, and I trailed behind them, a stranger on a tour of someone else's property. The study was exactly as he described, 10 by 12, with a single window that faced the building's ventilation system. The view was gray metal ductwork and concrete. The space had always been fine for an office because I'd never thought of it as anything more than a workspace. But as a bedroom? We can mount the Murphy bed here, Derek said, pointing to the wall behind my desk. And if you consolidate your files, you could probably fit a small dresser in this corner. The bathroom situation will be shared, Marcus added. You'll use the hall bathroom. It's only a few steps away, so really quite convenient. The hall bathroom. The guest bathroom I'd renovated 2 years ago with basic fixtures and standard tile, nothing like the master bath with its rain shower, heated floors, and the Japanese soaking tub. Natasha was already taking photos of the space with her phone. This will make a great before and after for my Instagram story. How we optimized space in our new home. My followers love organizational content. Our new home. Not my home that they were temporarily using. Our home. When are you planning to move your things in? I asked, curious how far they'd already gotten with their invasion plans. Tomorrow, actually, Derek said. The furniture truck is coming at 9 a.m. We've been storing everything at Mom's place, but she needs her garage back. The nursery pieces alone take up a ton of space. Tomorrow. Less than 24 hours notice. And the wall demolition? I pressed. Travis can start Monday, Marcus said. It's really not a big project. 3 days, maybe 4. You'll barely notice. I would barely notice someone tearing down a wall in the home I owned. I would barely notice my entire life being restructured around their needs. I would barely notice being relegated to a room the size of a prison cell while they sprawled across my 3,000 square foot penthouse. I need to think about this, I said. The three of them exchanged glances. The kind of glances that said they'd anticipated resistance and had already planned their response. Victoria, Marcus began, his voice taking on that edge of frustration I'd heard increasingly over the past few years. This isn't really up for debate. Derek and Natasha have nowhere else to go. Natasha is 7 months pregnant. We're family. Sometimes family means making sacrifices. I've made sacrifices, I said quietly. Your career sacrifices, Natasha corrected, emphasizing the word like it was something dirty. That's different from family sacrifices. You chose your work. We're talking about a baby. A new life. Surely you can see which is more important. There it was. The fundamental equation of my worth, my 18 years of building a successful business, my reputation, my clients, my achievements, all of it less important than their immediate needs. All of it dismissible because I'd chosen a path that didn't include children. I looked at Marcus, searching his face for any sign of the man I'd married. The one who'd claimed to admire my drive, who'd said my success inspired him, who'd promised we were partners. But that man wasn't there. Maybe he'd never been there. Maybe I'd been so busy building my career, so focused on my clients and my firm, that I'd missed the slow erosion of respect, the gradual accumulation of resentment, the careful construction of a narrative where I was the selfish one. I'll start packing tonight, I heard myself say. The relief on their faces was immediate and obvious. That's wonderful, Victoria, Natasha gushed. You won't regret this. And who knows? Maybe having a baby in the house will change your perspective on things. You might even want one of your own. At 45, with a career I'd built from nothing, she thought I might suddenly want to derail everything for a child because her baby would be so inspiring. I returned to my office, soon to be my bedroom, and closed the door. Through the thin walls, I could hear them celebrating, their voices bright with victory. Natasha was already on the phone with her mother, describing the penthouse in detail. Derek was laughing about something. Marcus was opening a bottle of wine, from my collection, undoubtedly, to toast their success. I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. The documents I'd forwarded to myself were already saved in a secure folder. The deed with my name. The mortgage with my name. The title insurance with my name. And then I opened a new tab and pulled up my email. Catherine Ashford's message from this morning was still there, marked unread. Victoria, following up on our conversation from last month. The London position is still available. We haven't found anyone with your expertise and client relationship skills. The offer stands, £500,000 base, £300,000 signing bonus, company flat in Mayfair, full relocation package. Please let me know if your circumstances have changed. We'd love to have you lead our European expansion. My circumstances had definitely changed. But I didn't respond yet. Not tonight. Tonight, I needed to understand exactly how deep this betrayal went, how long they'd been planning this, and what else they thought they could take from me. I pulled up the shared cloud storage again and started reading. Every document. Every plan. Every calculation they'd made about my life and my assets. By the time I was done, it was 2 a.m. The penthouse was silent. And I had everything I needed to dismantle their scheme so completely that they'd never see it coming. That decision was about to become his greatest mistake. I pulled out my phone and stared at Catherine Ashford's contact, the London opportunity I'd turned down 6 weeks ago. Chief Investment Officer, Davies and Porter, compensation package that included a Mayfair apartment and £300,000 signing bonus. I'd declined for Marcus. For this marriage. For a life I'd believed we were building together. My finger hovered over her number, but I set the phone down. First, I needed to understand the full scope of this betrayal. At 2 a.m., my phone rang. My mother's picture appeared, her wearing the cashmere sweater I'd sent, smiling beside her Christmas tree in Phoenix. "Morning, Mom," I answered. "Rosalie, honey, something strange happened. Julian called asking about your father's insurance policy, wanting to know if there were investments we hadn't told him about." The room tilted slightly. "What did you tell him?" "The truth, your father's insurance barely covered his final medical bills. You know, we used every penny for his cancer treatment." She paused. Why would Marcus ask about that after 12 years? I couldn't tell her that her son-in-law was excavating our family tragedy for non-existent gold. "Everything's fine, Mom. Early meeting, I need to go." After hanging up, I returned to the emails. A new message appeared in Marcus's inbox as I watched, from Gabriella, movers confirmed for noon. "Once her stuff is in the guest room, phase 2 begins. Dad's lawyer says if she abandons the marital home, it strengthens Jay's position for asset division." Assets division. They were planning a divorce I hadn't contemplated, positioning me as the one who'd abandoned our marriage by leaving the home they were forcing me out of. I screenshot everything, sending it to my secure account. Then I opened my filing cabinet, finding the folder I'd been avoiding, the Thornfield International offer. Marcus had stood behind me when I declined it, hands on my shoulders. "Our life is here, Rosalie. Our future is here." He'd already been talking to his family about moving them in when he said those words. The doorbell interrupted my thoughts. Sarah stood there in tennis whites and barely contained fury. "We need to talk," she said, pushing past me. She froze seeing Leonardo's meditation mat, Gabriella's books scattered everywhere. "My God, it's true." "What's true?" "I was at the club yesterday. Gabriella was holding court at the juice bar, telling everyone how she'd finally put that career woman in her place." Sarah's hands clenched. "She said you were jealous of her pregnancy and that's why you had to be removed." "Removed? Like a stain." "There's more," Sarah continued. "She's been planning this since she got pregnant, 7 months. She told her book club you'd probably claim mental instability from work stress, so they needed to act fast. They'd pathologized my success, weaponized my work ethic, transformed my achievements into evidence of instability." "What are you going to do?" Sarah asked. I looked at the Thornfield folder, then at my phone where screenshots waited like loaded weapons. "I'm going to give them exactly what they want," I said. "And then I'm going to disappear with everything they never knew they needed." The penthouse was silent at 5:30 a.m. I moved through the dim hallway barefoot, heading to the shared desktop computer Marcus used for household management. His password was pathetically predictable, Mariners 2019. The desktop loaded with a soft chime. I muted the speakers and dimmed the screen brightness. Outside, Seattle remained dark, city lights reflecting off Elliott Bay. His email inbox was chaos, unread messages, promotional offers, job alerts from LinkedIn. But buried in the mess was a folder labeled Family Planning 2024. The first email from Eleanor, January 3rd. Marcus, Derek's lease ends in March, and with Natasha pregnant, they need proper space. Your penthouse has 3 bedrooms sitting mostly empty. It seems wasteful. Derek is family. Blood. Perhaps it's time Victoria understood that her career can't always come before family obligations. Marcus's response, "You're right, Mom. The penthouse is marital property. Washington is a community property state. I checked with Harold and he confirmed my stake is substantial after 12 years. Derek and Natasha can move in. Victoria will adjust. She always does." The next email from Derek, January 15th. Bro, we're desperate. Can't afford anything with the baby coming and my job situation. That tech startup equity never materialized. I need this. You said Victoria's always at the office anyway. She's kind of cold, honestly. A baby might warm her up, teach her what's really important. Marcus's reply, "Don't worry. I've got a plan. Position it as temporary. Victoria hates conflict, she'll go along to avoid a scene. And if she doesn't, I have leverage. She cares about reputation more than anything." More emails revealed the timeline. Natasha to Marcus, February 2nd, "I'm already designing the nursery. That eastern light is perfect. Tell Victoria it's a done deal. Good cribs have 12-week lead times. They'd named the baby. Already claimed my bedroom." A group text between Marcus, Derek, and Eleanor from March 10th. Eleanor, "Has Victoria agreed?" Marcus, "Working on it. Her Q1 bonus clears next week. Once that money is in our joint account, I'll push harder." Derek, "What if she says no?" Marcus, "She won't. But if she does, I'll threaten to think about our marriage. That'll scare her. Divorce would embarrass her professionally." I sat back, the leather creaking softly. 4 months of planning. Every manipulation calculated. They'd waited for my bonus, $340,000 earned through 18-hour days. My phone lit up. Patricia, sent at 5:40 a.m., early workout. Couldn't sleep. Coffee after? I have news. I texted back, Zeitgeist in 30. But first, I photographed every email, backing up to my secure cloud. Then I cleared the history and shut down the computer exactly as I'd found it. A new email notification appeared on my phone. From my bank, large transfer pending approval, $340,000 from Morrison Financial Advisory business account to joint checking. My quarterly bonus. Scheduled to complete at 9 a.m., in less than 4 hours. I logged into the banking portal. Cancel transfer. Confirm cancellation. Transfer cancelled. Then I removed Marcus as joint account holder. Changed passwords. Set up 2-factor authentication. By the time I finished, Marcus's access to my money had been severed completely. Patricia was at Zeitgeist when I arrived, 2 Americanos and a manila folder waiting. "You look terrible," she said. "Marcus is trying to steal my penthouse." She didn't look surprised. I knew something was wrong. I told her everything, the breakfast ambush, the emails, 4 months of planning, the cancelled bonus transfer. Patricia slid the folder across the table. Inside were architectural drawings and a legal document for a Portland building. 12 luxury condos, top-floor penthouse available. 3,000 square feet, river views. I was offering it as an investment. Now I'm offering it as an escape route. Move to Portland. Bring your firm. Start over. Patricia. Or don't run, she continued. Stay in Seattle. Take everything you own and watch them try to live in an empty shell. Either way, I'm with you. But decide now, before they realize you're not the accommodating wife they've counted on. My phone buzzed. Marcus, where are you? We need to talk about the moving schedule. I need a lawyer, I said. The best divorce attorney in Seattle. Patricia smiled, the smile of someone who'd been waiting for this moment. I know exactly who to call. Patricia made the call right there, her phone pressed to her ear while I stared at the Portland penthouse drawings. Diane, it's Patricia Okoye. I need you to meet with someone today. Emergency situation. Asset protection, potential divorce. Can you do 11 a.m.? She looked at me. I nodded. Perfect. We'll be there. She ended the call and leaned forward. Diane Rothstein. She handled my cousin's divorce 3 years ago. The husband tried claiming he deserved half her medical practice. Diane destroyed him. How much does she cost? Enough that Marcus will panic when he finds out. She's a weapon, Victoria. And right now, you need weapons. My phone kept buzzing. Marcus, increasingly irritated. Victoria, where are you? We have movers coming. You need to be here. This is incredibly inconsiderate. Call me back immediately. I silenced the phone and looked at Patricia. My mother has cancer. She went still. Stage 2 breast cancer. Diagnosed 8 weeks ago. Surgery, chemo, radiation, the treatment is aggressive but promising. Her insurance doesn't cover everything. The out-of-pocket is about $90,000. Victoria. I set up a separate account and transferred $100,000. I didn't tell Marcus because he'd been making comments about my excessive generosity to her. He thought she should handle it herself. Patricia's jaw tightened. Your mother has cancer and he wanted her to figure it out alone? I have the account statements, the medical bills, everything documented. She starts chemo next week. I showed Patricia my phone, the dedicated medical fund showing $94,000. Does Marcus know? No. Different bank. But in those emails I found this morning, he was speculating about hidden assets I must have. He even called my mother last week asking about inheritance from my father. He called your sick mother looking for money? My father was a high school teacher. He had a small life insurance policy that barely covered his funeral after the cancer treatments. There was no fortune. Everything I have, I built myself. Patricia was quiet, processing. You need to move that medical fund today. Before Marcus tries something. Already done. Transferred it this morning to a credit union. My mother is co-owner. He has no access. Good. Patricia checked her watch. We have 3 hours before meeting Diane. Let's use them. We drove to Patricia's office, a converted warehouse with exposed brick and soaring ceilings. Her assistant brought water and tissues without being asked. Patricia pulled out a legal pad. Walk me through your assets. Everything. I spent the next hour laying it out. The penthouse, purchased for $2.1 million, now worth $3.2 million. My name only. Current equity, $1.9 million. My firm, managing $2.3 billion in client assets, averaging $800,000 annual income. Business value, approximately $4.5 million. Investment accounts, $1.2 million, all in my name, established before marriage. Medical fund, $94,000, now protected. Personal accounts, $180,000 separate from the joint account Marcus accessed. 3 rental properties in Tacoma, combined value $1.8 million, equity $600,000. Total net worth? Patricia asked. Around $7 million. She sat back. And Marcus's contribution? Annual income about $120,000. Maybe $30,000 in retirement savings. I bought his BMW because his credit wasn't good enough. His golf membership, his wardrobe, his lifestyle, all funded by me. Patricia circled a number. Washington is community property, but you had substantial separate property before marriage, and you can trace everything. A good lawyer will protect most of this. My phone rang. Not a text, an actual call from Marcus. I declined it. Immediately another call from Derek. Then Natasha. Then Marcus again. They're panicking, Patricia observed. They've realized you're not home playing the obedient wife. Good. Marcus's voicemail filled the room when I played it on speaker. Victoria, I don't know what game you're playing, but it's not funny. The movers are here. They need to know where to put Derek and Natasha's things. You need to coordinate this. Call me back immediately. The entitlement was staggering. Eleanor's voicemail followed. Victoria, dear, Marcus says you've disappeared. Very concerning. Family matters need your attention. Please call your husband back. Derek and Natasha are counting on you. Patricia's phone buzzed. She turned it toward me, Natasha's Instagram. A photo of my living room posted 40 minutes ago, finally settling into our forever home. Baby Oliver is going to grow up surrounded by so much love. Hashtag new beginnings, hashtag family first. Forever home. Not temporary. Forever. I looked at Patricia. I want them out. All of them. Today. Legally, that's complicated. Then I want everything I own out of that penthouse. Every piece of furniture, every dish, every towel. I want it empty except for their suitcases and their delusions. Patricia smiled, fierce and sharp. Now we're talking. But first, Diane. Get the legal framework in place. Then we execute. My phone rang again. This time, my mother. Patricia quietly left the room. Victoria? Sweetheart, is everything okay? And just like that, I started crying, the ugly, gasping kind. I told her everything. The ambush, the emails, Marcus's speculation about family money, his phone call to her asking about assets. My mother was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was steel. Your father and I were married 38 years. Good years, mostly. But early on, his family tried something similar. They needed money, expected me to give up my teaching salary. Your father stood by me. He told them I came first, always. She paused. Marcus is not your father. And you need to protect yourself. Completely and ruthlessly. I'm scared, Mom. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. But Victoria, you are not the scared girl who started that business with nothing. You are my daughter. We did not raise you to be anyone's doormat. I'm meeting with a divorce lawyer in an hour. Excellent. And Victoria? There's something you should know. My breath caught. Your father had a second life insurance policy. One I never mentioned. He took it out when you started your business, his safety net for you. $500,000. He died 8 years ago. The policy matured. I invested it conservatively. It's been sitting in a trust waiting for when you might need it. Mom, what? The trust is in your name. Always has been. I'm just the administrator. Marcus has no claim. It's your separate property, completely protected. Current balance is $547,000. My father, dead 8 years, still protecting me. I'm emailing the trust documents now, she continued. Take them to your lawyer. Show Marcus that the money he's been salivating over was never going to be his. And Victoria? When this is over, I want to hear every detail of how you destroyed them. The email arrived seconds after she hung up. Documents from Northwest Trust and Savings. The Morrison Family Trust. Current balance, $547,000. Patricia returned. I showed her my phone. Your father was wise, she said quietly. This changes everything. Separate property, completely traceable. Marcus can't touch it. I didn't know it existed. Which means Marcus definitely didn't. But he suspected something, those emails where he talked about hidden assets. He was fishing. Now you have proof that even if you had been hiding wealth, it wouldn't matter. This was never his. At 11 a.m., we sat in Diane Rothstein's corner office. The space screamed competence, mahogany furniture, Yale law diploma, framed trial victories, view of Puget Sound. Diane listened without interrupting, taking precise notes. When I finished, she set down her pen. Mr. Reeves is an idiot, she said flatly. He's documented his intent to defraud you. He's conspired with family to occupy your home without consent. And he's left a digital trail any first-year law student could follow. So what do I do? First, we secure everything, you've handled that. Second, the penthouse. She pulled up something on her computer. You purchased it with funds from your business account. Can you document this? Yes. Bank statements show the transfer. Perfect. Even in a community property state, if separate property funded a purchase, you can argue for reimbursement or greater share. She leaned forward. Here's what we're going to do. She laid it out with surgical precision. File for legal separation citing financial infidelity. Emergency motion for exclusive occupancy, you own it, you paid for it. Judge will sign an order giving you sole occupancy. They'll have 72 hours to vacate. Forensic accounting to show who contributed what. We'll trace every dollar. The court will see you built everything while Marcus rode your coattails. Restraining order preventing Marcus from accessing your business or harassing clients. A restraining order is public record. His colleagues will know. The humiliation will break him. How much? I asked. 50,000 retainer. Total depends on whether Marcus fights or folds. Based on what you've told me, he'll fold within 6 weeks. Total cost, 75 to 100,000. I thought about my father's trust fund. Money saved so I'd never be trapped. When can we start? Separation papers filed by 3 p.m. Emergency motion heard tomorrow morning at 9. You'll need to be there. I'll be there. One more thing, don't return to that penthouse until I call you. Don't communicate with Marcus except through me. You've been the accommodating wife for 12 years. That woman no longer exists. Understood? Understood. Diane stood, extending her hand. Ms. Morrison, it's going to be my genuine pleasure to destroy your husband's fantasies. I'll call by 5 with an update. Outside, Patricia turned to me. How do you feel? I thought about it. Really thought. Free, I said. For the first time in years, I feel free. My phone was exploding, 23 texts from Marcus, 15 from Derek, 8 from Natasha, 6 voicemails from Eleanor. I didn't read any of them. Instead, I messaged Jennifer, cancel all appointments for 3 days. Personal emergency. I'll be available by phone and email. Reschedule Crawford for next week, tell them something unavoidable came up. Her response, done. Everything okay? It will be. Patricia drove us to the Fairmont Olympic, the boutique hotel where I'd stayed years ago between selling my old condo and closing on the penthouse. She booked a suite with a king bed, sitting area, windows overlooking the city. You're staying here until Diane gets that occupancy order, Patricia said. On me. Non-negotiable. Patricia. You paid for my mother's nursing care when she had her stroke. $80,000. You refused repayment. Said it was what friends do. Remember? I did remember. This is what friends do, Patricia said now. They show up. They protect. They help you burn down the lives of people who tried to steal from you. I laughed, surprising myself. When did you get so bloodthirsty? The moment you told me what they did. Now, order room service. Take a bath. Try to sleep. Tomorrow morning, we go to court, and by tomorrow afternoon, your penthouse is yours again. I didn't sleep. Instead, I reviewed the financial documents Diane had requested. The forensic accountant she'd hired, Teresa Walsh, had spent 3 days dissecting 12 years of finances. Her report was devastating. Marcus's 12-year contribution, approximately $1.4 million gross income. After taxes, $840,000 take home. His spending. BMW and related costs, $180,000. Golf memberships, $95,000. Wardrobe, $67,000. Watches, $43,000. Scotch and wine clubs, $38,000. Business lunches, producing 2 clients, both lost, $52,000. Total personal expenses, $475,000. Remaining household contribution, $365,000 over 12 years. My contributions to our home alone. Down payment, $420,000. Mortgage payments, $340,000. Property taxes and fees, $125,000. Furniture and household items, $150,000. Renovations, $185,000. Utilities and maintenance, $94,000. Total investment, $1,314,000. Teresa's conclusion: Mr. Reeves has been a net financial drain on this marriage. His contributions have been minimal and self-serving. Ms. Morrison has funded the entirety of the marital lifestyle without reciprocation. My phone buzzed. Diane, Teresa's report is brutal. Filed with the court. Marcus's attorney called twice asking to settle. I told him we'd consider offers after the asset hearing next week. Let him sweat. I smiled, typing back, how bad is it going to be? Career-ending bad. Teresa found irregularities in his expense reports at Preston Financial, billing personal expenses as business costs. I forwarded that to their compliance department. Professional courtesy, of course. Professional courtesy. Diane was destroying Marcus's life while making it sound polite. At 4 p.m., the locksmith arrived, Ray, a grizzled man who'd been changing locks in Seattle for 30 years. He took one look at my empty penthouse and shook his head. Divorce? How did you know? Been doing this long enough. I can always tell. He set down his toolbox. Let me guess, ex-husband thought he owned the place? Something like that. They always do. He started removing the front door lock with practiced efficiency. I'll change every lock. Deadbolts, interior doors, even the storage unit. When I'm done, you'll be the only person with keys. While Ray worked, I sat on the floor reviewing Teresa's report again. The numbers told a story Marcus probably never saw coming: 12 years of taking without giving, of consuming without contributing, of building nothing while enjoying everything I'd created. My phone buzzed. Marcus's attorney: my client wishes to discuss a reasonable settlement. Perhaps we can avoid court? I forwarded it to Diane without responding. Her reply: let them squirm. Tomorrow's hearing will show them exactly how unreasonable their position is. At 6 p.m., Ray handed me a set of keys on a new ring. All yours. Nobody gets in without your permission. After he left, I stood in the center of my empty penthouse. This space was mine, but it was also contaminated now. Every room held memories of betrayal. I could renovate. Replace everything. Restore it to what it had been. Or I could walk away. My phone rang. Catherine Ashford from Davies and Porter, London. Victoria, I heard through the grapevine that you're having personal challenges. I wanted to reach out again. The position is still available, you're still our first choice. Chief Investment Officer, European Division. £500,000 base, £300,000 signing bonus, company flat in Mayfair. I looked around the empty penthouse. 43 floors up. Elliott Bay views. The space I'd sacrificed everything to afford. Catherine, can I ask you something? Of course. The Mayfair flat, does it have history? Has anyone else lived there? She laughed. Brand new. We finished renovation last month. You'd be the first occupant. Because I'm ready for a space with no ghosts. Pause. Does that mean what I think it means? Send me the contract. I'll sign it today. When can you start? How soon do you need me? 2 weeks would be ideal. 2 weeks it is. After we hung up, I called Patricia. I'm taking the London job. Good. You deserve a fresh start. What about the penthouse? I'm selling it. Fully furnished once I replace the damaged items. Someone else can have the views. I'm done with Seattle. What about your firm? The firm stays. I'll run it remotely. Most of my meetings are virtual anyway. Jennifer can manage the Seattle office. She's been ready for promotion for 2 years. And the divorce? Diane handles it. I don't need to be here. She has full authority to settle or litigate. By the time I'm in London, Marcus will be signing whatever she puts in front of him just to make it stop. Patricia was quiet. You know what this is? This isn't running away. This is burning the bridge after you've crossed it. Good. Let it burn. That evening, I sat in my empty penthouse watching the sun set over Elliott Bay. The water turned gold, then pink, then purple. Somewhere in Seattle, Marcus was probably calculating how badly he'd miscalculated. Derek and Natasha were probably stuffed into Eleanor's guest room, their Instagram perfect life revealed as fantasy. Eleanor was probably spinning the narrative to make me the villain. Let them. I was done performing for their approval. My phone buzzed. Diane, Marcus's attorney, sent a settlement proposal. He's offering to waive all claims to your business and property in exchange for $50,000. The man who tried to steal a $3.2 million penthouse is now begging for grocery money. I wrote back, counter with 0. He gets nothing. The vandalism costs come out of his share of whatever's left. With pleasure. I didn't sleep. Instead, I sat in the hotel suite watching city lights blur through rain-streaked windows, scrolling through Natasha's Instagram like footage of a disaster. 6 posts since morning. 6 curated glimpses into what she called our forever home. My kitchen, first breakfast in our new space. Baby Oliver will have so many happy memories here. #blessed life. My living room, rearranged, finally have the space we need to grow. The universe provides. #grateful #dream home. My master bathroom, this soaking tub will be a lifesaver during late-night nursing. Self-care isn't selfish, mamas. #luxury living. Each post had hundreds of likes, dozens of congratulatory comments. Not one person questioned how a couple living in a garage 6 months ago suddenly had a $3.2 million penthouse. But the 6th post made me screenshot everything and forward it to Diane. Derek and Marcus on my balcony, holding my grandmother's Waterford crystal, toasting the camera, the men who made this possible. Family takes care of family. Forever grateful to Marcus for understanding what really matters. #brotherhood. What really matters. As if my 18 years of sacrifice meant nothing. Diane called at 11 p.m. Emergency motion scheduled for 9 a.m. Judge Karen Hastings, fair, experienced, 0 tolerance for financial manipulation. I've sent the evidence package. She used the phrase deeply concerning pattern of asset appropriation in her notes. Will Marcus be there? He was served at 4:15 by process server at his office. So yes, he knows. After she hung up, I opened my blocked messages. The fury was volcanic. From Marcus, 4:47 p.m, what the hell? You filed for separation without talking to me? 5:18 p.m, you're being incredibly immature. Don't do something you'll regret. 5:45 p.m. Fine. You want divorce? I'll take half of everything, including that precious firm. 6:30 p.m. Diane Rothstein? You hired the most expensive attorney in Seattle to intimidate me? I have rights. Derek's messages were shorter. Marcus says you're divorcing him? Over us needing a place? That's insane. Natasha at 9:38 p.m. You're going to regret this. We have rights. We're not leaving. Eleanor's voicemail. Victoria, dear, Marcus called me in tears. Tears. You've broken his heart over a little inconvenience. This is not how a Christian woman behaves. I deleted everything and set Do Not Disturb. At midnight, I checked Marcus's LinkedIn profile. His headline, Senior Financial Advisor at Preston Financial helping families build generational wealth. Under, Experience, updated 3 weeks ago, excited to announce my transition to Morrison Financial Advisory as senior partner. Looking forward to growing our family business with my talented wife. Senior partner. Family business. I'd never made him partner. Never discussed it. He'd invented a position and expected me to accept it. I screenshot the profile and sent it to Diane. He's been telling people he's my partner. Her response came instantly, added to evidence. Shows intent to claim ownership. Judge Hastings will love this. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, we win. At 2 a.m., an unknown number texted, this is Derek. Natasha's in the ER. Early labor. The stress you caused did this. If anything happens to our baby, it's on you. My first instinct was guilt, the programmed response of someone blamed for everything. But I remembered Diane's words, they'll use every manipulation available. Don't engage. I screenshot the message and forwarded it, emotional manipulation or genuine emergency? Diane, given that Natasha posted Instagram stories from your balcony at 11 p.m., I'm going with manipulation. Block this number. I blocked Derek, Marcus, Natasha, Eleanor. The silence was profound. Patricia texted at 6 a.m., picking you up at 8. Wear the navy suit. The one that says, I own everything and apologize for nothing. At 8:15, I stood before the hotel mirror, adjusting my grandmother's pearl necklace. The navy suit fit perfectly. Hair pulled back. Makeup minimal but polished. I looked like exactly what I was, a woman who'd built an empire and was done apologizing. Patricia knocked at 8:17. Let's go take back your home. The King County Courthouse was a fortress of gray stone and rain-streaked windows. Patricia and I arrived at 8:28 a.m., pushing through the revolving doors into a lobby that smelled of wet wool and anxiety. Diane was already there, standing near the security checkpoint with a leather briefcase and an expression that could cut glass. Perfect timing, she said. Courtroom 4C, 3rd floor. Judge Hastings is punctual. We go in at exactly 9. Is Marcus here? I asked. Not yet. But his attorney is. She gestured toward a nervous-looking man in an ill-fitting suit hovering near the elevators. Martin Webb. Bottom-tier family law. Charges $200 an hour and gets what he pays for. Marcus probably found him on Google yesterday afternoon. We took the elevator to the 3rd floor. The hallway outside courtroom 4C was lined with wooden benches, most of them occupied by people waiting for their own domestic disasters to be adjudicated. I recognized the look on their faces, that mixture of dread and defiance that came from having your private life dissected in public. At 8:47, Marcus appeared. He looked terrible. His suit was wrinkled, his tie crooked, his face unshaven. His eyes were red-rimmed, either from crying or drinking or both. Behind him came Derek and Natasha, her hand pressed dramatically to her pregnant belly, her face arranged in an expression of wounded innocence. When Marcus saw me, something flickered across his face. Not anger exactly. Recognition, maybe. The dawning awareness that the accommodating wife he'd counted on had been replaced by someone he didn't recognize. Victoria, he started toward me, but Diane stepped between us. Mr. Reeves, you're represented by counsel. All communication goes through your attorney. Step back, please. Martin Webb scurried over, his briefcase clutched to his chest. Diane, surely we can discuss this like civilized people. There's no need for. There's every need, Martin. Your client attempted to defraud my client of her separate property. We'll let Judge Hastings sort it out. At precisely 9 a.m., the bailiff called us into the courtroom. Judge Karen Hastings was a black woman in her mid-50s with silver-streaked hair and reading glasses perched on her nose. She looked at the assembled parties with the weary expression of someone who'd seen every variation of human greed and stupidity. Emergency motion for exclusive occupancy in the matter of Morrison versus Reeves, she read from her docket. Ms. Rothstein, you filed this yesterday afternoon. That's quite urgent. Convince me why. Diane stood, her voice clear and firm. Your Honor, my client Victoria Morrison is the sole owner of the marital residence, a penthouse condominium located at 2101 4th Avenue valued at $3.2 million. She purchased this property in 2019 with funds from her separate business account, made all mortgage payments from that same account, and holds sole title to the deed. She placed a document on the judge's bench. This is the deed, Your Honor. Only Ms. Morrison's name appears. I can read, Ms. Rothstein. Continue. On May 14, without my client's knowledge or consent, Mr. Reeves invited his brother Derek, Derek's wife Natasha, and their belongings to move into the penthouse. He informed my client that she was to vacate the master bedroom and relocate to a 10-by-12-foot study. When she objected, she was given an ultimatum: accept the arrangement or leave. Judge Hastings looked up. He told the property owner to leave her own home? Yes, Your Honor. But it gets worse. Diane placed another stack of documents on the bench. These are emails and text messages we've subpoenaed from Mr. Reeves's accounts. They show a 4-month conspiracy between Mr. Reeves, his brother, and his mother to forcibly relocate my client and claim her property for family use. The planning began in January. They waited until my client's quarterly bonus cleared before executing their plan. The judge was reading now, her expression darkening with each page. Your Honor, Martin Webb stood, his voice uncertain. My client simply tried to help family members in need. His brother lost his job, his sister-in-law is pregnant. This is a matter of compassion, not fraud. Compassion? Judge Hastings looked at him over her glasses. Mr. Webb, according to these messages, your client calculated his wife's net worth, speculated about hidden assets, and coordinated with family members to time this compassionate act for maximum financial advantage. That's not compassion. That's a con. Diane wasn't finished. Your Honor, I'd like to submit additional evidence. These are screenshots from social media, posted by Natasha Reeves over the past 24 hours. She projected the images onto the courtroom screen. My kitchen. My living room. My bathroom. Each one captioned with declarations of permanent ownership. Our forever home, Diane read aloud. So grateful to Marcus for understanding what really matters. Your Honor, they have no intention of this being temporary. They plan to occupy my client's property indefinitely while forcing her into substandard accommodations in her own home. Judge Hastings was no longer just reading, she was studying the documents with the focused intensity of someone finding evidence of a crime. Ms. Morrison, she said, looking directly at me. Stand, please. I stood, my legs steadier than I expected. You purchased this property with your own funds? Yes, Your Honor. The down payment came from my business account at Morrison Financial Advisory. I'm a financial advisor. I manage $2.3 billion in client assets. And the mortgage payments? Also from my business account. Auto debit, every month for 5 years. I have bank statements documenting every payment. Has Mr. Reeves contributed financially to this property? No, Your Honor. He's made no mortgage payments, no maintenance payments, no property tax payments. Nothing. Judge Hastings turned to Marcus. Mr. Reeves, stand. Marcus stood, his lawyer whispering urgently in his ear. Did you invite family members to occupy your wife's property without her consent? She's my wife, Marcus said, his voice defensive. What's hers is ours. We're married. That's not what I asked. Did you invite them without her consent? Marcus hesitated. I thought she would understand. Family is important. I see. And this LinkedIn profile, Judge Hastings held up a printout, where you claim to be senior partner at Morrison Financial Advisory. Is that accurate? I was planning to discuss that with Victoria. It's a natural progression. So you're not actually a partner. You invented a title and announced it publicly without the business owner's consent. I helped build her business. My referrals, my connections. Your Honor, Diane interrupted smoothly, we've documented Mr. Reeves's actual contribution to my client's business. In 12 years, he referred 2 clients, both of whom left within 6 months. His LinkedIn profile shows a history of moderate performance at best. His claim of partnership is fraudulent. Judge Hastings removed her glasses and rubbed the bridge of her nose. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of absolute authority. I've seen a lot of things in this courtroom. Adultery, abandonment, domestic violence. But what I'm seeing here is perhaps more insidious, a systematic attempt to dispossess a successful woman of her assets under the guise of family obligation. She looked at Marcus, and her expression could have frozen water. Mr. Reeves, you and your family members have 72 hours to vacate the property located at 2101 4th Avenue. All personal belongings must be removed. Any items left behind will be considered abandoned. Your Honor, please, Martin Webb tried. I'm not finished. Ms. Morrison is granted exclusive occupancy of the marital residence pending final divorce proceedings. Mr. Reeves is prohibited from entering the property, from contacting Ms. Morrison except through counsel, and from making any further claims about her business or assets. She signed the order with a sharp slash of her pen. This order is effective immediately. Bailiff, please ensure Mr. Reeves receives a copy. Marcus's face had gone white. Behind him, Natasha made a sound like a wounded animal. Derek was frantically typing on his phone, probably already calculating where they'd go. Ms. Morrison, Judge Hastings said, her voice softening slightly. You'll have your home back by Friday evening. I suggest you change the locks immediately. Thank you, Your Honor. As we filed out of the courtroom, I could hear Natasha sobbing. Where are we supposed to go? I'm 7 months pregnant. How could she do this? Eleanor's voice cut through the hallway. This is your fault, Marcus. You said she'd never fight back. You said she was too worried about her reputation to make a scene. I didn't look back. Patricia's hand found mine, squeezing once. Outside the courthouse, standing in the rain, Diane turned to me with something approaching a smile. That, she said, was the easiest eviction I've ever won. Now comes the fun part. The fun part? We take everything else. Friday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that only comes after a storm. I stood in the hotel lobby at 7:45 a.m., watching 3 moving trucks pull up. Patricia appeared with coffee. Your army has arrived. The moving coordinator was Sandra Chin, former Marine Corps logistics officer. She approached with a tablet and absolute competence. Ms. Morrison, I have your inventory. 47 furniture items, 132 boxes, all kitchen items except built-ins, all artwork, all linens, and personal effects. My team is briefed. 4 hours, maximum. And the other party? Your attorney provided the court order. If they're still there when we arrive, I call Seattle PD immediately. But according to the doorman, the Reeves party vacated yesterday at 6:47 p.m. 3 individuals, 7 suitcases, multiple bags. The doorman noted they appeared distressed. Good. We arrived at 8 a.m. The building's concierge, Michael, greeted me with visible relief. Ms. Morrison, welcome back. I'm glad this is resolved. The previous occupants left quite a mess. What kind of mess? Best you see for yourself. The elevator ride felt longer than usual. When the doors opened, my front door was closed but unlocked, deliberate defiance. I pushed it open. The penthouse looked like a crime scene. Or a tantrum made physical. My Noguchi coffee table, $17,000, had a crack running through the glass. The leather on my Eames chair was slashed, deliberate cuts. On the wall where my commissioned artwork had hung, someone had written in lipstick, "Hope you're happy." The kitchen was worse. Every cabinet door hung open. My Le Creuset cookware was gone. The refrigerator contents were scattered across the counter, rotting. A wine bottle had been poured over the marble, dried into sticky red trails. In the master bedroom, my mattress was slashed. The Japanese soaking tub was filled with dried pink bubble bath residue. Natasha's pregnancy supplements scattered like confetti. But the study, the room they'd tried to make my prison, revealed true spite. Permanent marker covered my custom walnut desk, selfish. Cold. Heartless. Career woman. Ruined family. Patricia stood beside me, jaw clenched. This is criminal vandalism. I pulled out my phone and started photographing. Every slashed piece. Every scrawled insult. Every deliberate act of destruction. Sandra, I called. Document everything. Photos, detailed notes. I want complete damage assessment. Already on it. My phone rang. Diane. Have you seen the property? Standing in it now. They destroyed thousands of dollars worth of furniture and wrote obscenities on my desk. Perfect. I mean, not for you. But for our case. That's destruction of property, possibly criminal mischief. File a police report immediately. Every dollar of damage comes out of Marcus's settlement. There won't be much settlement to take from. Oh, Victoria. You have no idea what's coming for him. 2 officers arrived within 30 minutes, taking statements and adding their own photographs. Pretty clear-cut vandalism, the younger officer said. Given the divorce proceedings and court order, it's also potential contempt. Take this evidence to your attorney. Already planned. By noon, Sandra's team had removed everything salvageable. The damaged items were photographed, inventoried, loaded onto a separate truck for storage as evidence. What remained was an empty shell. The penthouse stripped to its bones, the view, the space, the potential. Where are you taking everything? Patricia asked. Storage facility in Georgetown. Climate controlled, fully insured. Ms. Morrison can access whenever she wants, but her attorney suggested keeping everything secure until divorce is finalized. I stood in the middle of my empty living room, surrounded by echoes. This space had represented everything I'd achieved. Now it represented something else, freedom, maybe. The possibility of starting over without the weight of a marriage that had been draining me for years. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, probably one of them using someone else's phone. Hope you enjoy your empty house. Hope it was worth destroying a family. Hope you can live with yourself. I screenshot it, forwarded it to Diane, blocked the number. Patricia appeared with sandwiches. Eat. You need energy. For what comes next? She smiled, pulling out her phone. Remember that Portland penthouse? It's ready. 3,000 square feet, river views, move-in condition. Fresh start, new city, no memories of Marcus contaminating the space. I looked around my empty Seattle penthouse. The home I'd worked so hard for. The space I'd bled for. I'll think about it. But even as I said it, I knew the answer. This penthouse was mine legally and morally. But it would always carry the stain of what happened here. The betrayal. The manipulation. The casual cruelty of people who'd thought I was too weak to fight back. Maybe it was time to build something new somewhere else. My phone rang. My mother. Did you get your home back? I did. It's empty, but it's mine. Good. Now burn it all down, sweetheart. Take everything they thought they could steal and make them watch you walk away with it. I looked at Patricia, at the empty space, at the city beyond my windows. Already working on it, Mom. 3 days after reclaiming my penthouse, I sat in Patricia's office reviewing the final pieces of evidence that would end Marcus's life as he knew it. Teresa Walsh, the forensic accountant, had outdone herself. The numbers tell a story, she said, sliding a single-page summary across the desk. 12 years of marriage. Your contributions funded everything. His contributions were. She paused, negligible at best, parasitic at worst. The summary was damning in its simplicity. Victoria's total investment in marital assets, $2.8 million. Marcus's total investment in marital assets, $365,000. That was it. 12 years reduced to two numbers that showed exactly who'd built this life and who'd simply enjoyed it. But here's the interesting part, Teresa continued. I found irregularities in his Preston financial expense reports. Over 3 years, he submitted $47,000 in personal expenses as business costs. Golf memberships, watches, wine clubs, all billed to the company as client development. Is that illegal? It's fraud. I've documented everything and prepared a report for Preston's compliance department. Whether you want to use it is up to you. I looked at Patricia, who raised an eyebrow. Your call. Send it, I said. He tried to steal my home. He doesn't get to keep his career. Teresa nodded and made a note. My phone rang. Diane. I just got off the phone with Martin Webb, Marcus's attorney. They want to settle. Marcus is offering to waive all claims to your business and the penthouse in exchange for $50,000. I almost laughed. $50,000? He tried to steal a $3.2 million property and now he's begging for $50,000? Desperation is clarifying. What do you want to do? Counter with zero. He gets nothing. The vandalism repair costs, $34,000, come out of his share of whatever's left in the joint account. Which is about $3,000, so he'll owe me $31,000 he doesn't have. You want him to walk away owing you money? I want him to understand what it feels like to have nothing. Diane was quiet for a moment. I'll draft the counteroffer. But Victoria, there's something else. Teresa's report on the expense fraud, Preston Financial will likely terminate him. He'll be unhireable in finance. You realize you're not just ending the marriage. You're ending his entire career. He ended it himself when he decided to steal from me. I'm just making sure everyone knows what he did. Fair enough. I'll file the counteroffer today. After hanging up, I pulled up my email. Catherine Ashford had sent the employment contract from Davies and Porter. 53 pages of legalese that boiled down to, new life, new city, new beginning. I signed it electronically and sent it back. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. Catherine. Welcome to Davies and Porter, Victoria. We're thrilled to have you. The relocation team will contact you within 24 hours. They'll handle everything, shipping, temporary housing, visa paperwork. You just show up. When do I start? Officially? 3 weeks. But we'd love to have you here in 2 if possible. We have clients asking for you specifically. 2 weeks. 14 days to close this chapter and start the next. I'll be there, I said. That evening, I met Patricia for dinner at our favorite restaurant, a small Italian place in Capitol Hill where we'd celebrated every major milestone in our careers. So you're really doing this, she said, raising her wine glass. London. Fresh start. Leaving all of this behind. Not leaving. Evolving. I clinked my glass against hers. The firm stays. Jennifer runs the Seattle office. I manage remotely. Clients don't care where I am as long as I'm available. And London gives me access to European markets we've never touched. And Marcus? The divorce? Diane handles everything. She has full authority to settle or take it to trial. I don't need to be here for that. I took a sip of wine. By the time I land in London, Marcus will be signing whatever she puts in front of him. What about the penthouse? Selling it. Already have a real estate agent coming Monday. She thinks I can get 3.4 million, maybe more. I'll use the profit to fund the London expansion. Patricia smiled, the real smile, not the polite business one. You know what you're doing? You're not just escaping. You're winning. I'm not even competing anymore. Marcus wanted what I built. Now he'll watch me build something even bigger somewhere he can't reach. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Eleanor. What you're doing to Marcus is cruel. He made a mistake. You're destroying his entire life over one mistake. I hope you can live with yourself. I showed Patricia the message. One mistake, Patricia read aloud. Not 4 months of planning. Not conspiracy with family. Not vandalism and fraud. One mistake. She looked at me. Are you going to respond? No. I blocked the number. She enabled this. She encouraged it. Now she gets to watch the consequences. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from my mother. Chemo session 3 done. Doctor says I'm responding beautifully. How are you doing, sweetheart? I typed back, signing bonus from London job just cleared. £300,000. I'm buying you a condo in Scottsdale. Somewhere warm with good medical facilities. Non-negotiable. Her response came immediately. Victoria Rose Morrison, you don't need to. Mom. You gave me life twice. Once when you had me, once when Dad's trust fund gave me freedom. Let me do this. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, okay. But only if it has a guest room for when you visit. Deal. Patricia was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. What? I asked. Nothing. Just, you're different. Lighter, somehow. Like you've been carrying weight for years and finally put it down. She was right. For 12 years, I'd been holding up Marcus's ego, his career, his lifestyle. Holding up his family's expectations. Holding up a version of myself that was smaller, quieter, less threatening. Now I'd let it all drop. And instead of collapse, there was just space. Room to breathe. Diane says the divorce will be final in about 6 weeks, I said. Marcus will sign. He has no choice. His attorney already told him that fighting would cost more than he could possibly win. And then? And then I'm free. I raised my glass. To new beginnings. Patricia clinked hers against mine. To burning bridges and building empires. We drank to that. 2 weeks later, I stood in SeaTac Airport, boarding pass to London in hand. Patricia had driven me, refusing to let me take a car service for what she called such an important moment. You have everything, she asked for the 3rd time. Everything that matters. I gestured to my single carry-on and laptop bag. The moving company shipped everything else. It'll arrive at the Mayfair flat before I do. And the penthouse? Closing is next week. The buyers are a young couple expecting their first child. She cried when she saw the view. They're going to be happy there. I smiled. Happier than I ever was. What about Marcus? I pulled out my phone and showed her the email I'd received that morning. From Preston Financial's HR department, CC to Diane. Mr. Reeves's employment has been terminated effective immediately for violations of company expense policy and ethical standards. All benefits are forfeited. We will not be providing references. Teresa's report? Patricia asked. Teresa's report. Diane sent it to their compliance department 3 days ago. They moved fast. So he's unemployed, soon to be divorced, with no references and a fraud investigation on his record. And living with his mother at 47, I added. Derek and Natasha are in a 2-bedroom in Renton. Eleanor took a part-time job at her church to make ends meet. The whole family is destroyed, Patricia finished. Experiencing natural consequences, I corrected. I didn't destroy them. I just stopped propping them up. My boarding group was called. Patricia hugged me tight. Go build something amazing, she whispered. And send pictures of that Mayfair flat. I want to plan my visit. Already planning it. Christmas in London. I'll take you to all the places Americans aren't supposed to know about. It's a date. I walked toward the gate, carry-on rolling behind me. At the entrance, I turned back. Patricia was still standing there, watching me go, her face full of something that looked like pride. I waved once, then stepped through the gate toward the plane that would take me away from Seattle, away from Marcus, away from everything that had tried to make me small. Toward London. Toward a flat with no ghosts. Toward a job that valued what I'd built instead of resenting it. Toward a life where I didn't have to apologize for taking up space. The plane lifted off over Puget Sound, and I watched Seattle shrink below me, the city where I'd built my empire, where I'd fought my battle, where I'd won my freedom. I didn't look back after that. There was nothing behind me worth seeing. Only forward. Only up. 3 months later, I stood in my Mayfair flat overlooking Hyde Park, champagne in hand, reading Patricia's email about the complete destruction of Marcus's life. London had become revelation. Davies and Porter gave me an entire floor, 15 brilliant analysts, clients who valued strategic thinking. The work was challenging, the respect immediate. Every morning I woke in a space holding no painful memories. The flat was everything the Penthouse tried to be, modern, elegant, entirely mine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the park. A kitchen I never cooked in but liked admiring. A bedroom with a bed no one else had slept in. Clean. Fresh. Uncontaminated. Patricia's email made the champagne taste particularly sweet. Marcus had been fired from Preston Financial 6 weeks ago. The compliance investigation uncovered $47,000 in fraudulent expense reports, golf memberships, Scotch collection, even the Rolex billed as business development. His termination letter, your conduct represents fundamental breach of fiduciary responsibility. Employment terminated for cause. All unvested benefits forfeited. We will not provide references. Without references or network, with fraud on his record, Marcus couldn't find work. 17 applications, 0 callbacks. At 47, he was living with Eleanor in her Bellevue condo, sleeping in his childhood bedroom, submitting applications from her dining table. Derek's LinkedIn now read, open to opportunities, translation, unemployed 8 months. The tech startup dissolved, creative consulting never materialized. He was working help desk at $22 an hour, answering password reset tickets. Natasha had given birth to Oliver 2 months ago. Her Instagram, once 73,000 followers, had gone dark. The last post showed her exhausted in a shared hospital room, no designer nursery, no professional photos, no hashtags. Just a tired woman holding a newborn, Derek visible looking overwhelmed. They lived in a Renton 2-bedroom for $1,850 monthly, straining their finances. Natasha had applied at Nordstrom customer service, $18.50 hourly, no benefits for 90 days. The woman who'd strutted through my penthouse now folded clothes and processed returns. Eleanor, at 71, had taken a part-time church administrative job to supplement Social Security. With Marcus consuming her retirement income and Derek constantly requesting loans, her fixed income was stretched beyond breaking. The church ladies who'd admired her successful son now whispered about his scandal, how he'd tried stealing from his wife. Marcus tried attending an industry mixer last month, Patricia wrote. Lasted 20 minutes before awkward silences drove him out. No one networks with the guy who committed fraud and tried stealing his wife's penthouse. Professional poison. My phone rang. My mother, calling from Phoenix. I'm cancer-free, she said. Complete remission. Tears formed. Mom, that's incredible. Because of you. The best treatment, doctors, care. Your father would be so proud, not just because you saved my life, but because you saved yourself. Eleanor called me last week, she continued. Said maybe you and Marcus could work things out. I told her that her son tried stealing from my daughter, vandalized her property, and committed workplace fraud. Then I hung up. There's something else. I invested the treatment money I didn't need, the part you gave me. It's grown to $112,000. I want you to have it back. Mom, no. Don't argue. You gave me life. Buy yourself something beautiful in London. Something reminding you that you won. My laptop pinged. Subject line, Final Divorce Decree. Diane's note, it's done. Everything you wanted. He signed without contest. Congratulations on your freedom. 53 pages boiling down to this. I kept the penthouse, sold for $3.4 million, my business, retirement accounts, investments, everything. Marcus got nothing. Not even the BMW in my name. He was responsible for all legal fees, $127,000 total. He was liable for property damage, $34,000. The marriage was dissolved. Legally, officially, completely. I composed an email to Patricia, thank you for the update and for being there. Raising a glass in London to friendship, freedom, and justice. Come visit soon, I'll show you what winning looks like. 6 months after leaving Seattle, I stood on my balcony in Mayfair watching snow dust Hyde Park with white. My phone sat silent on the table beside me, no desperate texts, no manipulative voicemails, no family members trying to guilt me into surrender. Just peace. Davies and Porter had been everything Catherine promised. My division was thriving, 3 major clients signed in the first month, European expansion ahead of schedule, a team that actually listened when I spoke. The respect was immediate and genuine. No one questioned whether I deserved to be there. The flat was perfect. Modern, elegant, entirely mine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the park. Every piece of furniture chosen by me, for me. A bed no one else had slept in. Clean. Fresh. Uncontaminated. My phone buzzed with an email from Jennifer in Seattle. Q4 numbers are in. Revenue up 34% from last year. 3 new clients signed, 2 more in pipeline. The team sends their love from the holiday party. We're thriving, Victoria. We're thriving. Without Marcus's connections, without his help, without him anywhere near the business. Turns out, I hadn't needed him at all. I just believed I did. Another email arrived. From Diane, with the subject line, Final Divorce Decree, signed. I opened it. Her note was brief, it's done. Everything you wanted. He signed without contest. Congratulations on your freedom. The decree was 53 pages that boiled down to this. I kept everything, the penthouse sale proceeds, $3.4 million, my business, my investments, my retirement accounts. Marcus got nothing. 0. Not even the BMW. He was responsible for all legal fees, $127,000. He was liable for the property damage, $34,000. The marriage was dissolved. Legally, officially, completely. I poured a glass of champagne and looked out at the snow-covered park. Somewhere in Seattle, in Eleanor's cramped condo, Marcus was probably staring at that decree, finally understanding the magnitude of his miscalculation. He'd thought I was weak because I avoided conflict. He'd mistaken my accommodation for inability to fight. He believed I'd accept anything to preserve peace. He'd been catastrophically wrong. My phone rang. Patricia. I just got off the phone with my Seattle architect friend, she said without preamble. Guess who applied for a job at her firm? Marcus? Marcus. She recognized the name, Googled him, found the whole story. Apparently it's made the rounds in Seattle professional circles. The guy who tried to steal his wife's penthouse, got caught committing expense fraud, lost everything. She said showing up to interview took either courage or complete lack of self-awareness. Which did she think it was? Complete lack of self-awareness. She didn't even finish the interview. Just told him they weren't hiring and showed him out. I should have felt satisfaction. Maybe even vindication. Instead, I just felt nothing. Marcus had become irrelevant. A problem I'd solved and moved past. How's Natasha doing? I asked, surprising myself with the question. Working retail at Nordstrom. Full-time. Derek's doing tech support somewhere. They're barely making rent. Instagram's been dark for months, hard to maintain that influencer aesthetic from a rent-an apartment. Patricia paused. You really don't care anymore, do you? No, I realized. I don't. They wanted what I built. When they couldn't have it, they tried to destroy it. Now they have to live with the consequences. But their consequences aren't my concern anymore. Good. That's healthy. I could hear the smile in her voice. So when am I visiting this fabulous London life? Christmas. 2 weeks. I've already planned everything, markets, shows, a New Year's Eve party at Davies and Porter that you're going to love. Can't wait. Send me the flat address so I can ship your present. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet of my Mayfair flat and thought about the woman I'd been 6 months ago. Standing in that penthouse, being told to move to a storage room, believing I had to accept it to keep the peace. That woman was gone. Not destroyed, transformed. Refined by fire into something stronger, clearer, more essential. The snow was falling heavier now, blanketing London in silence. My city now. My life now. My space to take up without apology. I raised my champagne glass to the window, to the falling snow, to the future spreading out before me like an unwritten story. No ghosts. No regrets. No looking back. Just forward. Just up. Just free. And that, I realized, was the greatest victory of all. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.